This is Radio Nepal. I'm GHIMIRE with the news. The headlines first. Prime Minister Sherbadu Dewa elected as Nepali Congress President for a second term. Prime Minister Dewa says Nepali Congress needs to be strong to strengthen democracy. Winter session of the Federal Parliament begins. 6 ordinances presented in Parliament amid the protest from main opposition CPN-UML. And the World Health Organization says Omicron spreading at an unprecedented rate. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister and Nepali Congress President Sherbadu Dewa has been re-elected as the party's president from the party's 14th General Convention. He won the re-election yesterday to become the party president for the second term. Chairman Dewa defeated his rival Dr. Shekhar Koirala by 878 votes. Dewa had garnered 2,733 votes out of 4,623 votes cast in the counting held yesterday, while Dr. Koirala got 1,855 votes, according to the party's Central Election Committee. Voting had started at 3:30 p.m. yesterday and had ended at 9 p.m. yesterday itself. After the 5 party presidential candidates failed to get more than 50% of the votes in the Monday's first-round election, the Prime Minister and incumbent party President Sherbadu Dewa and leader Dr. Shekhar Koirala, who got the second highest number of votes as per the party constitution, went to the re-elections yesterday. The CPN-UML has decided to continue the obstruction in the meeting of the Federal Parliament. The meeting of the CPN-UML Parliamentary Party that was presided over by Party Chair KP Sharma Oli decided to keep on obstructing the Parliament. Last July, the CPN-UML had taken action against 14 lawmakers from the party. CPN-UML Chair Oli said his party would not tolerate injustice but keep on obstructing the Parliament unless actions were taken against the 14 lawmakers. He also demanded changes in the parliamentary committees as per UML capacity in the Federal Parliament. Meanwhile, leaders Khagaraj Adhikari and Krishna Bhakta Pokhrel from UML took part in the Business Advisory Committee meeting called by Speaker Agni Prasad Sapkota yesterday and warned of obstructing the Parliament meeting if the Speaker did not address their demand. Meanwhile, lawmaker Dilendra Prasad Baru said the government was ready to sit for talks with the main opposition CPN-UML regarding ending the obstruction of the parliament. Talking to journalists after the meeting of the House of Representatives yesterday, the minister said an atmosphere of consensus would be forged through mutual talks following the completion of the Nepali Congress's General Convention. The winter session of both the houses of the Federal Parliament began yesterday. 6 ordinances were tabled at the meeting yesterday of the House of Representatives, despite the protest from the main opposition CPN-UML. Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Dilendra Prasad Baru, on behalf of Home Minister Balkrishna Khad, tabled the Nepal Police and Province Police First Amendment Ordinance and Social Security First Amendment Ordinance. Similarly, Minister Baru presented ordinance designed to amend some acts against sexual violence and ordinance designed to amend some acts related to criminal offence and criminal procedure. Likewise, Minister Baru, on behalf of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Transport Renu Kumari Yadav, tabled the Railway Ordinance. The next House of Representative meeting is scheduled for the 21st of December. Meanwhile, 6 different bills, including ordinance to regulate sales and distribution of acid and other harmful chemicals, 2078 Bikram Samvat, were presented at yesterday's meeting of the National Assembly. The ordinance tabled in the House of Representatives meeting were also tabled in the National Assembly meeting. The next National Assembly meeting will be held on 20th of December. The CPN Maoist Centre has formed a 21-member parliamentary board under the leadership of party chairman Pushpakamal Dal Prachanda. Chairman Prachanda's personal secretary Ramesh Malla informed that the meeting of the party held at Singadarbar yesterday decided to take a constructive initiation to address the deadlock seen in the parliament. A total of 246 new cases of COVID-19 were detected in Nepal yesterday. The Ministry of Health and Population confirmed the number of infections while testing 13,709 samples. Likewise, 362 people recovered from the COVID-19 infection yesterday itself. Meanwhile, 2 people died of the virus infection yesterday, taking corona-related death toll to 11,559 in the country so far. Vice President Nanda Bahadur Pun has urged one and all to use and thereby promote local handicrafts. At a program organized on the 50th anniversary of the Federation of Handicraft Associations of Nepal and 10th Handicraft Day yesterday, Vice President Pun said that the government should accord high priority on handicrafts. The Vice President also appealed with all the government agencies to use domestic handicrafts. He asserted that the export of handicraft had been playing an important role in reducing trade deficit. Similarly, Federation's President Surendra Bhai Shakya viewed that cooperation and collaboration was needed from all 3 governments to revitalize the handicraft sector that was hit hard following the outbreak and spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. He shared that various events would be held during the Golden Jubilee year of the Federation, including seminars and conferences, among others. Likewise, Federation's Vice Chair Rabindra Shakya said a handicraft policy should be formulated for the development and promotion of the handicrafts. On the occasion, Federation's founder, President Sagar Samsir Rana, founder member Motilal Silpakar, and best exporter of handicrafts, Maheshwar Shrestha, Sunita Sherpa, and Naresh Lal Shrestha, among others, were honoured. You're listening to Radio Nepal's 8 a.m. English News Bulletin. On to some international updates now. The new coronavirus variant, Omicron, is spreading across the globe at an unprecedented rate. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, cases of heavily mutated variant have been confirmed in at least 77 countries. But at a conference, WHO Chief Tedros said it was probably in many others that had yet to detect it. Dr. Tedros said he was concerned that not enough was being done to tackle the variant. The Omicron variant was first identified in South Africa in November, and the country has since seen a surge in infections. President Cyril Ramaphosa has tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently isolating with mild symptoms. A number of countries have introduced travel bans affecting South Africa and its neighbors following from the emergence of Omicron, but this has failed to stop it from spreading around the world. More than 60 people have been killed after a fuel tanker exploded in northern Haiti. Reports say the vehicle was involved in an accident in the city of Cap Haitian, and the victims had been trying to gather leaking fuel when it ignited. Local hospitals have been overwhelmed by those injured in the blast. Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry said the entire Caribbean nation was grieving after the accident as he declared 3 days of mourning. Pictures posted on social media show an intense blaze at the scene of the accident in Haiti's second-largest city. One witness described the blast site as hell. Dozens of people were injured in the explosion, and local medics say they feared the death toll would rise. More news of the COVID infection. More than 800,000 Americans have now died from the coronavirus, the highest recorded national death toll from the global pandemic. It comes as U.S. reached 50 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 on Monday. Most deaths have been recorded among the unvaccinated and the elderly, and more Americans died in 2021 than in the year 2020. The last 100,000 deaths came in just the past 11 weeks, a quicker pace than any at other point aside from the last winter's surge. Now, the general weather forecast for the country for today, according to the Meteorological Forecasting Division. The weather will be partly cloudy in the hilly areas and mainly fair in the rest of the country. Kathmandu's weather report for the past 24 hours, maximum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and minimum was 4.2 degrees Celsius. Well, that's all the news we have for this bulletin, but before wrapping up, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Sherbahadur Deva elected as Nepali Congress President for a second term. Prime Minister Deva says Nepali Congress needs to be strong to strengthen democracy. Winter session of Federal Parliament begins. 6 ordinances presented in Parliament amid the protest from the main opposition, CPN-UML. And the World Health Organization says Omicron spreading at an unprecedented rate. Well, that's all the news we have for this bulletin. Our next bulletin in English will be at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website www.onlineradionepal.gov.np. Also, do check our English news portal at www.onlineradionepal.gov.np/English. Keep listening to Radio Nepal and have a good day.